So I think he's starting up again. So if I just suddenly get up and start moving, it's because I'm off to go sit on the stairs so that water in the background. So let's have a chat then about Akila Dolls.
Yeah, so I started Akila Dolls in November last year, and Amira was diagnosed with autism in May 2019. It was just a struggle. Amira, before she got diagnosed, she was getting excluded every other week. I was able to finish work and then rush straight to school to grab her because she was only doing half days at work, at school, sorry. And it was just mentally and physically wearing me down, trying to support her and work full time. And I knew that I couldn't carry on the way I was going. And my doctor said to me, you know, if you carry on the way you're going, you're going to dead in a couple of months. It was bad. So I had to make the hard decision to start working. But I've always worked from being young. I've always had a job. So I knew I wanted to do something. I just didn't know at that point what I wanted to do. And then it was on a shopping trip after I finished work in October. We went to go get some toys for Mira because a lot of her education is role-play based learning. So she learns through toys. And she'd mentioned, you know, Mummy, why is there no diversity on the toy shops? Why is everything look the same? And that's one thing I love about her autism is that she's just straight to the point with it. And she says it how it is. And she's so intrigued, like she's intrigued by stuff and she wants to know why. And she's not just happy with just an answer. So we went around and we had a look in the shop. And then we went to another shop. And it was the same issue again. It was blue roll, pink roll, and it was boys and girls separated. And it was just Caucasian dolls. And then you had like the odd black doll, but it was just exactly the same as the Caucasian doll, but just a different skin tone. And I was like, something's not right. And I've noticed this when I was a kid, but I think more so now becoming a mother, you notice it more. So I went away, I did market research. So I did like an online survey online, and I did like a survey with about 10 questions. And I had about 70 people respond to this survey asking them, you know, would you want a diverse doll? What would you want to see in a diverse doll? How much would you pay for it? Where would you buy one if it was the option to buy it? You know, what type of person are you? A parent, a carer, teacher? And the response I got back was, we want these dolls. These dolls are needed. Why do we not have these dolls? So obviously I got the response from people that they wanted them. And I thought, well, where are they? You know, surely there must be diverse dolls somewhere out here. Where are they? If I can't find them in the high street, I must be going online and finding them. So I went away and I looked online, and what I found online was you could buy them from America. So you could get dolls that were diverse in America. You could get them as places in Africa, some places in the Caribbean. There were some places down south that were offering them, but they were more like Barbie dolls. So you were getting more the Barbie type dolls, but not the actual bigger dolls. So that's where I kind of found my niche market, that I was offering something different. And what else I found was that people that I found that were doing diverse dolls were more predominantly doing the black dolls. They weren't doing diverse dolls. So again, that was my other unique selling point, that I was going into diverse and disability dolls and not just black dolls. And then I went away and I looked and thought, well, could I buy these dolls? Could I sell them? What would it cost? Would I get profit out of them? And I found that obviously I wouldn't be making a profit. I'd just be basically selling the dolls and not earning something. So I thought, well, surely it's not that hard. I know what I know what they need to look like. I know what they should include. I know what we want. Surely I could do it. And I've got no creative background, but I have a visual. So I had an idea of what I wanted. I went and did some research in some illustration companies and said, you know, this is my idea. This is what I want to do. And there was one local company bought a crumble and they just got it straight away. They knew what I wanted to do. They loved the concept. They knew the mission, the values of what I was trying to stand for. And we worked together to put up the first doll, which is Bessie. And the reason we called her Bessie was my idea is to call every doll, name them after a historical person through history. So it's also like education. It's teaching kids about history, and it's teaching them about people in history that you wouldn't predominantly think of. Because, you know, we know Martin Luther King, we know Rosa Parks, we know Mary Seacole. But then when you tell people, well, do you know about Bessie Coleman? And they go, who? And I'm like, well, she was the first Black aviation pilot who lived in America, who went to France to learn French so she could get a pilot license. And people like, I never knew that. And I'm like, well, these are the people that our children need to hear about, you know? And it also sends a positive message to young girls that you can do whatever you want to do, you know, because generally aviation is a male-dominated job. You wouldn't generally think women would do it. So it's teaching the little girls, like, if you have that dream and that desire, you can go do it.
It's really good that, you know, you've chosen to name the dolls in that way, because I guess they're forming perceptions, I guess, as they're growing up, of, you know, what a female should be or what a girl should be, and it's, you know, inspirational characters that you're bringing.
Yeah, and it's like all the dolls are going to be dolls where, because one thing I noticed with a lot of dolls, they always have makeup on, and I don't like that. And for me, I want the dolls just to be plain. I don't want them to have makeup and be, I want them to be age appropriate. I don't want little girls to feel like they have to grow up quicker than they have to be, because media gives them an image that you have to look a certain way and have to be a certain way. And it's like, let kids be kids, you know? So all the dolls are going to have, you know, the natural, authentic hair, whether that's afro hair, curly hair, straight hair. It's going to be hair where they can plait with it, wash it. Because as kids, we taught how to plait hair. We were taught how to grease our hair, maintain it. Like, we were taught to be proud of our hair, because for so long in history, our hair was shaved off, cut. We were made to feel like it wasn't beautiful. And it's celebrating that and celebrating our culture. So, you know, even every doll will come with a little storybook about that character. So obviously with Bessie, there's going to be a little storybook about Bessie wanting to be the aviation pilot and her aspirations of going to aviation college and going to university. So it's sending that positive message to young children.
The thing that you said about, you know, taking away the makeup from the dolls, now that you've actually said it, I realise, like, Barbies and Bratz dolls and everything, they're very sexual. They all have the makeup on and, you know, the little cute outfits, and actually...
And the big plump lips.
Yeah, those are not, like, appropriate for a child. If this is the first interaction of what a female should look like, it's already sort of planting those seeds and putting that pressure on a child.
From a young age,
This is what you should look like.
What message does that send to our generation of little girls? That, you know, they should be able to walk into a high street shop and see a doll that represents them, their culture, their race, their hair, the way they look, and feel proud and feel like that's how I should, you know what I mean? And they should be able to buy it. It shouldn't be a case of we have to go on the internet and we have to search and search and search and search just to find a doll that kind of looks like us, you know. It shouldn't be acceptable. We're in 2020 and this is still an issue.
Yeah, so it's not a case of settling for the doll that kind of looks like us.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, I've had people tell me, oh, you won't get them on the high street shop. And my attitude is, yeah, I will. I will do it. Even if it literally takes me to my last dying breath, I will do it. Because people want these dolls, you know. People shouldn't have to be going on the internet ordering a doll that comes in 2 weeks or a week's time. They should be able to walk into the local high street shop and be able to pick it up, pay for it at the counter and go.
So have you met, like, because you were saying before that, you know, some people have said that you're not going to be able to get it into stores. Have you been, like, met with people sort of like doubting the vision and saying, you know, you're
not doubting the vision, more doubting the fact that I won't get them on the high street. So I initially approached my job set because when I left work, I signed on for benefit. And I approached my advisor through the job centre. I said, look, I have an idea. This is what I want to do. And she was absolutely amazing. She was like, I love it. She's like, do you know how many people come to me every day saying, I've got an idea, I want to do something? And I can tell straight away that they don't actually want to do it. They're just doing it because they just don't want to be here signing on. And like when you've come with your idea, she's like, you've thought about it. You said, you've come to me with a business idea. You've done your market research. You've gone and looked at what's about. You've come to me with a proposition and said, here's what I found. This is what I want to do. You know, she was like, right, that's it. She's like, I'm going to put you in touch with the Business and IP Centre. I'm going to see what I can help to support you. And from that meeting, and was it December we had that meeting? Yeah, December. She put me in touch with the Business and IP Centre in Leeds Library. And I had a meeting with a gentleman there, and I gave him my business idea. And he just loved it. And he was so helpful. He was pulling off like market research for me in the toy industry and what the toy sales were predicted for the next couple of years and what they were previously, and, you know, is it generating an income in the doll side of it? And it was, and it was just brilliant. And we were just bouncing ideas off each other. And he then put me in touch with a mentor at Santander Bank who gave me some like business advice and more business management. We sat again. So literally from that one meeting with my business advisor, the job centre advisor, it just opened doors. But I don't think I would have been where I am now if I hadn't used the resources that were in place.
What inspired the name Akila Dolls?
So I went away and did some research, and the meaning of Akila is ruler of like your own world, and it's leader, and it's brave and strong. And that's the message I want you to give to boys and girls, that you are the ruler of your own world. You are brave, you're strong, you can do anything you want. And I love that powerful meaning behind of it, that the message it sent to kids. So I actually went and did on the market research and asked people, what name would you prefer, Akila Dolls? And there was another name I can't remember, and everybody said we want Akila Dolls. That's the name we want. So it's kind of got a stronger meaning because it was the community of people came behind it. That's the name we want, and that's the name we chose. So that's why I went with Akila Dolls.
Yeah. So everything sort of, it feels like every step of the way that you've gone, you've had that sort of like community input and, you know, market input, so you know that what you're putting out there is definitely what
people want. Yeah, and I think that's very important, is to, you know, anybody can have an idea, but if people are not going to buy it, or people are not going to want it, or there's not a need for it, then, you know, it's only an idea. If you have an idea, do your research, see if there's somebody else doing it, offering it, you know, is there an easier option to get to what you want to try and do, you know? And, you know, if you find that you're having a unique selling point, you know, explore it, see if, you know, how can you make yourself stand out from everybody else? What can you offer that nobody else is offering? And ask people feedback, because the people that you're asking are going to be the people that are going to eventually be buying your product or your service, you know? And you want them to feel like they're included and involved in it, you know? Like I said before, it's not just me and Amira now, it's so much more people are involved in this. And I love getting the feedback from people saying, you know, I want like a doll with dreadlocks. I've never ever seen a doll with dreadlocks in my life.
No.
And you know, people saying, you know, we want dolls that, you know, have birthmarks and, you know, stoma bags and prosthetic limbs. And I love that feedback that people are giving me, and it's showing me that people are interested and they want this product and they want to be involved with it.
Because diversity is so much more than just race, essentially.
It's like your race, it's your culture, it's your heritage, it's what you should be proud of, it's what we should celebrate. And, you know, in school when I grew up, I didn't really learn about my Black culture. You know, I'm mixed race, I'm half Caribbean, I've got Irish and Welsh in me, so I'm a right mixing pot. But when I grew up in school, I remember going in school and, you know, when it was Black History Month, I remember it being a couple of days of Black History Month, and that was it. When I had children, when I had Amira, I wanted to make sure that she knew about her culture and her heritage, and wanted her to feel proud about it, especially celebrating the fact that she also is dual heritage, you know? I think it's important, you know, in the school are not going to educate our children. We have to do it at home. You know, we have to do it through the books that they read, the toys that they play with, you know?
Yeah, you got to do it sort of like set that foundation so they already know, you know, their history and where they come from. And you always hear about slavery in Black history. You never really hear about the positive people and, you know, the positive people.
Yeah, there's so much more to Black history than just slavery, you know? There's so much more people that need to be celebrated and talked about, and it just hurts me, like, why now in 2020 is it still an issue? When is it going to be okay that it's not? Yeah, it's just, when is everything just not going to be where we have to constantly be crying, like not crying out, but when do we have to just stop be saying, like, look, you know, we are here, you know, we want to be heard, we want to be noticed, we want to be seen. So something needs to change, but at the same time, I also think, like I've always said, it's important that we as a Black community, or a diverse or a Black and ethnic minority group, are the one doing these dolls or these books or these toys. It's not me being racist or anything like that, but it's like, how can I expect somebody who's not of my culture, my heritage, to do something for me and my culture, my heritage, when they don't know about anything? Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what we need to do. I think we need to come together as a community for Black and ethnic minority groups. I think we need to come together and work together and push each other's businesses and, you know, promote them and tell people about them and come together as a community and celebrate. You know, I think sometimes we're so hard on ourselves and we don't support each other, but then we're all quick to complain that there's nothing there for us. Yeah. But then we want to do it, you know, and it's like, well, if anything's going to change, we need to do it. We need to put the first step forward. We should be celebrating each other. We should be right back behind, clapping each other and go on, push it forward. And I would also say it's, you know, like for me, I'm crowdfunding at the minute, and it's not been easy. For me, it's taken me, 5 weeks, and I'm like just nearing the end of my crowdfunding campaign, but it has been really hard and a big struggle. And at one point in my crowdfunding, I just felt so deflated and angry and just upset, because I was like, I'm doing something that people said they want and they've asked me for it, but no one's getting behind me. And if you see what I mean? And I've kind of just had to stick through it and kind of push through it, and, you know, saying like, you know, I can't do this on my own. I need you. I need your help. I need your support, you know. And if you want this to be something that's going to be a reality, you need to kind of get behind and, you know, and support each other. And whether that's putting a £5 in a crowdfunding campaign, or posting something up on social media, or advertising something, or word of mouth, we need to do that.
So can you explain sort of like how the crowdfunding works?
Yeah, so I never knew anything about crowdfunding until I spoke to somebody at the Leeds Enterprise course, and she had said to me, have you tried NatWest Back Her Business? And I was like, no, never even heard of it. And she explained that NatWest Back Her Business was a crowdfunding campaign for women who struggle to find finance, whether that be through like an investor, a bank, or any like kind of grant funding startup loan. So she said you could do a crowdfunding campaign through there to raise the money. So I had a look, and it was the only option I had. I couldn't get funding from the bank, I couldn't get a loan. So I knew that I had to get to the next stage of my business, but I needed funding. So I went and did some research and had a look and seen what was out there, what were people crowdfunding for. And you basically have to set up a campaign page. So you'd have to either do like a video message, or you could just put a picture up explaining what you are doing, and just put like a brief detail about what your business is, what you're trying to achieve, why you're trying to achieve it, and what you want to do with the funds. And then you set a date of when you want to go live and how much you want to run the project from. So it can be anything from like a couple of weeks to 4 weeks to near enough 10 weeks, but they always advise to try and do it between 4 and 5 weeks, because generally after 5 weeks people lose interest. And then you have two choices. You can either do flexi funding, where you would keep all the money that you earn, or you would do an all or nothing campaign, which means that if you don't hit your target, you lose everything. And what they say is that if you're a business, to do all or nothing, because it kind of makes people want to donate, want to help and support, because they know that you're trying to achieve a target. While if you're doing flexi funding, it's more aimed at charities, where you can just in and out with the money. But it is very time consuming and very labour intensive. I would always, if you are doing a crowdfunding campaign, research your product, research, is crowdfunding something for you and your business? Because for some businesses it won't work, you see what I mean? And you've got to look and see what people are already crowdfunding for. So, you know, when I started it 5 weeks ago, it was predominantly a lot to do with COVID-19. There's a lot of campaigns to do with COVID-19 and raising money for the vulnerable, the NHS, and there was about 4 or 5 different campaigns doing the same thing, but in different areas. And when I started, there's nobody doing diverse dolls, and it's only in the last 2 weeks that I've noticed another campaign come up doing diverse dolls. So yeah, I would say do your research, make sure it's something that you want, make sure you've got the time to do it, because it's not a case of just doing a campaign and then leaving it and then waiting for the time to run out and see what money you got. Every day you be proactive. You've got to get up every morning, check what you've earned, what amount of money you've got pledged, see how much you've got to get to your next target goal. You've got to share it on social media, share it with family and friends. And I say, especially right now, it's harder because you can't be proactive. You can't go out and knock on people's doors or go to restaurants, go to your local community and say, look, I'm doing this and that. You know, you can't hold like a little crowdfunding campaign party. So I would say right now with how COVID-19 is, it's harder because you're solely relying on emails, social media, telephone.
So everything has to be like digitally or online, you know.
Yes.
But you're nearly there though, aren't you? Well, have you got 90% of what you need to get?
92%, yeah.
So, and how many days have you got left to get the rest?
6 days. So yeah, it should have finished today, but the crowdfunding campaign gave me an extension for another week because of how difficult it's been with COVID-19 trying to raise the funds, which is great. And I'd only say in the last couple of weeks, it's just skyrocketed. People have literally helped so much, whether they've like shared the campaign, pledged on it, you know, adding a newspaper article with Yorkshire Evening Post, so that helped in that aspect. So yeah, it's been brilliant the last couple of weeks. It's been hard because I literally had to be on the ball with it. And then I know like in myself that if it didn't work, the only person I could blame was myself because I don't know when putting the work in. So that's why probably I've been so hard on myself, because I want it to work and I know it can work. So that's why I'm putting so much effort into making it work.
Did you have any moments where you thought, I'll just give it up, I'll just stop? Yeah,
because they always say when you start your crowdfunding, you need to get at least 10 people to pledge on your campaign the minute it launches. And I remember launching it, and I had my dad, my uncle, and my brother, and that was it. And I was constantly texting people, and I was like, look, I've done a crowdfunding campaign, this is what I'm doing, and people are either ignoring me or we're responding, yeah, sorry, we can't donate right now, it's COVID-19, money's tight. When share it on our platform, it's like, yeah, that's fine, I appreciate it. And I'd say for the first 2-3 weeks, I literally just felt so rubbish, because I was like, what am I doing wrong? I was crying, I was upset, and I was so hard on myself, and people were like, you're doing fine, like, it's only been 2 weeks. But in my head, I was like, yeah, but on a week-by-week target, we need to try and achieve this, this, and this, and this. And I was like, that's how I was looking at it. And they were like, it'll be fine, it'll work out. And I was like, yeah, but I can't wait till week 5 and just hope that it plays out, you know. So I'm so glad it has worked out.
What do you think was like the thing that sort of pulled you through? And
my support system are my family and friends, and leaning on them, and them just being like, remember that you've only just started this in November, and them constantly reminding me, saying, Olivia, don't be so hard on yourself. Like, you started this in November 2019. We are only just gone into June 2020. Not even been months, if that. You've done so much. And then saying, like, look what you've accomplished. You've gone and got the illustration drawings done. You've trademarked your name. You've got your packaging done. You've done all your market research. You've gone and been in the Yorkshire Evening Post. You did that. And they're telling me, you know, for a newspaper company to put you on the front page of the business section, that's massive. And I think they're just kind of pulling me back in and saying, acknowledge what you've done and take, what's the word, kind of be like proud, like be proud of what I've done, because I've worked so hard, and like just, you know, look at it and like think, you've worked so hard, you've put so much into it, you know. And I think that's kind of kept me so sane in the last couple of weeks, and just then reminding me that, you know, I have done a really good job and I've worked really hard to get where I am. And
definitely, and just the cause itself that you're doing it for, you know, it's not like, it's something I think that's going to benefit lots of other people as well. It doesn't just start and stop with you and your daughter and creating something, you know, pretty or something like a nice doll. You've got all those different elements in there. You've got the inspirational elements, you've got the educational elements, and then you've got the diversity, and then the fact that, you know, you're thinking of branching out into other areas of diversity that's not just race, that is, you know, inclusive of disabilities as well, because autism is a disability that you don't see.
It's hidden disability, and especially for me, what I've struggled over the last couple of years, especially only because I've had a mirror diagnosis for a year. If you look at Amira, you'd think she's just a normal 7-year-old child, because with autism, no two children are the same. You know, you get some autistic kids that are non-verbal, who can't move, whereas Amira is a verbal speaking autistic child. But then when you actually sit and talk to Amira, you then see little traits and little signs that you know that something's not quite right. So like, she'll make eye contact with you, and she struggles with like her social and emotional skills, so she couldn't interact with another child. She finds it very difficult. And if you put her in an element with an adult, she would thrive, because she loves that adult entertainment. She loves that interaction with an adult where she can actually have a stimulating conversation. She doesn't find children of her own age stimulating. She finds them very boring. I know it sounds really bad, but she doesn't find them mentally stimulating enough, because she constantly likes to learn. And I love that about her. And I think that's what I've struggled, especially when I go out with Amira, is that when she's having like a crisis and she's struggling with like the loud noises or the smells or crowded situations, people kind of just look at her and think, oh, you know, she's a spoiled little child, or, you know, yeah. And I get those stereotypical comments, or I'm a single parent, don't know how to control my child. And I have to say to them, no, she's autistic. Like, she has a registered diagnosis. I know you can't actually physically see it, but she has a hidden disability. And I think in one way that is hard for people to kind of understand, especially with girls in autism. It's much more harder, because a lot of the research for autism was done on boys. The research that they did doesn't actually reflect the girls at all. And what a lot of girls who have autism do is they mask it. And that's where it's very difficult for girls to get diagnosed. So Mira was diagnosed when she was 6. And it was really, really young for Amira to get diagnosed, because normally we wouldn't diagnose until about 11, 12. So girls don't normally get diagnosed later on because they can mask it, they can hide it. So they can basically go into an environment and camouflage themselves basically to fit into that environment because they think that they should be because everybody else is being like that. Well, as a boy wouldn't do that. And, you know, Mira goes to a special needs school and she's, 36 kids in the whole school, in her school, and she's one of another girl.
Wow.
Yeah. So that just shows you how much it is, yeah.
What the diagnosis rates are like and how, I guess, easily it is identified in boys over girls.
But not in girls, yeah. And it's a struggle because I think what we were told when we got Amira diagnosed was that CAMS, which is a children and adult mental health service, they only take through a select number of children per year to get diagnosed. So it's you're fighting a losing battle with it every single year. You know, it took us 4 years to get Amira diagnosed.
Wow.
By system, and in those 4 years, we didn't have any funding for her. We didn't have any support workers for her or anything like that. So she was excluded from school. She was taken out of the classroom. She was doing half days, and it got to a point where her mainstream school at the time said, you know, we can't do it anymore, and they kicked her out and put her in an inclusion centre, which had about 10 kids in and about 10 staff. And it's basically a centre where children who are not wanted, but obviously mainstream schools are struggling with them and don't know what else to do. They basically come in this inclusion centre so that other people can deal with them. And that sounds awful, but that's the reality of it.
So in that inclusion centre, are they equipped then to deal with the autism?
Yeah, and it's not just autistic kids. So you'd have children there who are autistic, ADHD, range of like learning disabilities, and you know, and at that inclusion centre, they're not actually diagnosed just yet. So they're there. It's kind of like a holding centre. Right. They're basically there. That's what it is. It's basically they're put in that inclusion centre awaiting a diagnosis or awaiting a confirmation that they'll be put on the waiting list, basically. Waiting for that. And then the teacher said, and in the 4 months Amira was there, Amira literally just thrived because she had that support. She had those teachers wanting her to engage in their education and learn with her, and they had the patience and the time to learn how she learned, not how they wanted her to learn. And she managed to sit a year 2 SATs and complete them all and smash them, you know. And she wouldn't have been able to do that in mainstream school because they just didn't have the time or patience for her, because they just didn't want to have the time or patience.
Mm-hmm. And I guess if Amira needs sort of a little bit more of attention and the teachers are sort of overrun as it is with, you know, sort of 30 kids in a class.
Yeah.
I guess the joke.
Which autistic kids, they can't manage a 30 classroom. So at the minute she's in a classroom with 6, 7 other kids, 4 or 5 teachers, which is brilliant.
A lot of support then.
Yeah, so much more support, and you know, they have all the resources they need. So they have, you know, special little rooms where they can go in, which is a dark room where they can do, you know, playing in the dark if they don't want anything too bright or, you know, too loud. And they can also do learning with in that room. So it's like a little special pod, and they can do like stimulation games for them about road safety, you know, environmental awareness. So they're learning also, and they have outside garden space where they can go and play. And the teachers are brilliant. So it's like, even when they're doing Christmas plays and Easter plays, the teachers all get involved and take part within it with the kids, you know, and they get like activities. So they go out for the day, and you know, they go on school trips. Well, as when they're in mainstream, they weren't allowed. When Amira was in mainstream and she wasn't wanting, if they were doing a school trip, I had to supervise her. I had to take a full day of work to supervise my child on a school trip, because they wouldn't give her a teacher to supervise her. If I couldn't get a day off work, she wasn't allowed to go.
Right, okay, so she gets sort of excluded from activities, basically.
Yeah. Looking at it now as a mother with an autistic kid, I don't think mainstream schools nowadays are set up for children with special needs. They're just not the funding, they're not the resources. Yeah. But then it's getting a problem now where the special needs schools that they do have placed just can't accommodate all the children that are getting removed kind of from a mainstream school into a special needs school, if you see what I mean. Because obviously with a special needs school, there's certain requirements of how many kids to staff ratios, you know, how many kids per class, and they all have early healthcare plans. So a lot of the mainstream schools really won't want to take a child with special needs, because if they have an educational healthcare plan, that's a legally binding document. So they're breaching the thing.
So it's they sort of don't want to, I guess, put the foot in the mouth.
Yeah. in a way, I'm kind of glad what we had to go through happened, because we won't be where we are now. I couldn't do a doll with autism because I said it's hard because it's quite a hidden disability. But there's so many more disabilities that are not recognised in dolls, you know. And, you know, like, we shouldn't be ashamed of it. Like, little girls and boys should feel proud, you know, that, you know, if they have birthmarks, or, you know, they've got hearing aids, or they've got prosthetic limbs, or, you know, they've got stoma bags. Why is that? Like, you know, they shouldn't be. And it's teaching other children that children are like this in society, you know. Not everybody's born just perfect as the society would say we are.
And are there any like adjustments or adaptations that you have to make like at home to like accommodate an autistic child?
I think we're just used to it with the mirror at home. Well, I am, because obviously it's just me and a mirror, but I know her signs and I know her little triggers. So for a mirror at home, it's her safe space. So this is where she feels most safe and most comfortable, so she can freely be who she is. You know, I'll have moments where she'll be at the window and she barks and she growls, because if anybody walks past the flat window, she barks and growls at them because she doesn't like them. I struggle to get out the house to try and do like a walk, so I'm probably getting her out maybe once a week, if that, if I'm lucky. And that's literally just taking her to the corner shop and back down the street, because she will growl at everybody, she'll bark at she doesn't want to be near anybody because she's scared she's going to catch coronavirus, because in her head she thinks everybody's got it. And she literally, with her, she just takes stuff to the extreme, and that's just how she is. She doesn't mean to, but that's just how she is. So it is a struggle in that sense to try and get her outside and trying to get her some fresh air, because if it was up to her, she'd be just happy inside all day.
Yeah. Does she know what you're doing then with the Akila dolls?
Yeah, she does know little bits about it. It's kind of, like I said, it's hard for her to kind of understand. But she does know little bits, and she's seen the drawings, she's seen like the fabric designs, because obviously I'm designing my own fabrics to go with the dolls' dresses, so everything's going to be unique and original to Akila Dolls. And that's what I wanted to make sure that it's just done in a way where nobody can say that's mine or you've took that kind of thing. Because what I noticed again with a lot of the dolls, people are using other people's fabrics. So with me, again, my unique selling point is I'm making these from scratch, I'm designing them. So like Amira's been giving me input, like with Bessie, the first doll, she was saying, Mummy, why don't we do a pilot outfit for Bessie? And we could do like a little suitcase for it, and we could do that as like an extra accessories. So she'll come to me with little ideas. I'm thinking, you're 7 and you know this. And it's lovely, because she'll come to me with little ideas, and she'll be like, oh, why don't we do another doll? It's got a job like this, and it's a teacher, and they could have like, you know, they could have like little books and, you know, like reading books. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea.
So everything is sort of got your stamp on it then. I guess every element of Akila Dolls is like just as different and, you know, unique as the dolls that you created. And then, you know, Amira's input in there, the executive decisions.
Yeah, Amira's literally told me, like, even when we designed, like me and my friend Sophie, we designed the fabric patterns. And what I said to her is I wanted them to be bright, I wanted them to be colourful. And so one of the patterns is called Flower Power, and that's based off like the flowers of the Caribbean and African countries. So that's what one element of the fabric is. And the other one's more like a geometrical, bright, kind of funky pattern. And we've done it in like some bright reds and oranges and then some neutral kind of tones. So again, that's all original to us. And one thing obviously about the business and the brand is that I want to keep it where a lot of people that I'm using are based in Leeds or Yorkshire. So trying to keep within my area, because that's what I want to celebrate. I want to be proud of, is that I'm using local people and showing off their skills and their talents and what they can do. You know, I found a lot of the things, you know, are down based in London, and thought, you know, there's not much that we're celebrating about, you know, Yorkshire and Leeds. We should be proud. You know, we've got some amazing and talented people. And the only thing that we are outsourcing from Yorkshire is the manufacturing of the dolls. That's going to be down south. But again, keeping it all a British brand that's made in Britain, born in Britain. Yeah, so that's what I'm passionate and proud about.
It's all about supporting, I guess, is it small businesses that you're using or more independent?
Yeah, more like independent and small businesses where people just wouldn't even know about them, or they might know about them, but they're not getting the recognition as they should be or they would be. And it's about promoting them people and giving them that platform to showcase what they can do, and, you know, and helping each other out, you know, and I love that, you know, I'm using people. So it's like my friend Sophie, I met her on the Princess Trust course. I never knew lady beforehand, and we literally just had a connection from that training course. And from there, we've just been working together doing the fabric designs. And then again, I've used a local illustration company, Butter Crumble, to do the drawing and the packaging. And Amira's old childminder designs her own clothing for children and adults. So it's using those local people and celebrating what they can do and their talents.
And how have you found sort of like networking and getting in contact with people? Like, what sort of tips would you give, or what sort of struggles have you found?
For me, I found it really easy, but that's only because I put myself out there. So for me, from the starting point is I went and approached, obviously, my job centre advisor. She opened the first door to go into the business and IP centre in Leeds for me. And obviously, when I went there, I didn't know what was going to happen, what they were going to give me, what I would come out with. And obviously, from there, that's literally opened so many doors for me, you know, from going to that meeting at the business and IP centre. That's what they do. They deal with businesses, whether you're an established business, a new startup business. They can give you information about the legal side of registering your names and your patents and all the trademarks. They can give you information about like business plans and cash flows, etc. Because all of that I never knew. You know, I've not got a business degree at all. And then from there, they've put me in touch with like a business advisor who used to work at Santander Bank, who would give me some more business advice. And she had connections within the banking industry. So again, that opened doors for me in that aspect, where people were hearing about what I was doing and interested in, you know, people offering me marketing advice when I got to that line and that stage of my business. And then, you know, they were offering me courses at the Princess Trust course, which I went and attended. And I would say, if you don't ask, you don't get, you know, and it might be a no, but you know what? You got to just keep going and keep going and keep going and keep knocking those doors down, because there's going to be so many people that tell you no, 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 but then there'll be that one person that tells you yes, and you'll never know that person tells you yes unless you keep asking and asking and asking, you know? If you believe in what you are doing and you're passionate about it and you love what you're doing, go with it. Because if you believe in yourself, that's all that matters. Because if you don't believe in your own brand and what you're doing, how can you expect anybody else to believe what you're doing and what you're wanting to do? You know? And I think that's, for me, when I approached these people back in January and February, I didn't have an illustration drawing, I didn't have packaging, I didn't have a concept book, I didn't have a business plan. I had a vision in my head. And I remember literally sitting in meetings with people and just talking to them about what it was I wanted to do, where I saw the business going and what I needed to do. So just ask and use local resources in wherever you live, whatever, you know, everywhere has a business and IP centre and a local library. Go to the business centre in your local library. There's books in there. There's resources on the computer where you can pull up market research, and you can do, you know, internet searches about brands and what their profits were and their losses were and what brands are coming out next year. There's tools out there. You just need to have a look and see what's available.
Them. Even as you speak, I know I'm not with you now, and even as I'm speaking to you now, I can literally feel the passion and the enthusiasm and the excitement and the vision. And I can literally feel it coming through the screen about how important this is for you. And I think that alone is going to push the business so far, because you have that's the foundation that it's built on, is like literally everything that you believe in, and it's brilliant to see.
It is. And it's just like, you know, anybody can do it. Like I said, I'm a single mom I've been to university twice and unfortunately not been able to complete both my degrees because of personal situations in my life at that time. And if you'd asked me this time last year, would I be where I am now? And I would have been like, no, you know? And I look at where I am now and how much I've achieved over the past 6-7 years. And I'm just so proud of myself, because I don't have a business degree. I've never done a cash flow, never done a business plan. And I can tell you what these things were 5-6 months ago. But because I've used those people and those resources that have been free, a lot of these things are free. You know, they're not costing you anything apart from your time. And that's how I've learned so much, because I've used those resources. Even if you can't go down to the library, you know, we're in coronavirus and lockdown, there's webinars available online that you can access for free. They'll be like an hour long, you know? It's a free resource that you can go online. It teaches you about business planning, cash flows. It tells you about, you know, time management and, you know, how to approach an investor and get extra funding, you know? Just do it.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. I feel like I've learned so much about starting a business. I feel like I've learned so much about autism, and how, you know, how difficult it is, I guess, getting diagnosed, but also getting the support.
Yeah.
And also, I think there'll be people who will, you know, see or listen to this who probably don't know a lot of the characteristics of autism and how, you know, the characteristics present themselves. And I feel like you've just been so informative as well. Oh, Fab. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm looking forward to see everything that sort of comes from Akila Dolls now as well.
Thank you.
Speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.